All right, guys, welcome. All right, so this is just a reaction video. All right, so this morning, all right, as I was trying to prep for eating some breakfast, I ended up seeing on Twitter that I didn't know how to react. I really did not know how to react, but saw Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier feuding with one another. So yesterday, I'm gonna rewind back to yesterday. Okay, so yesterday, going to get some groceries, milk, juice. All right, just stuff for the house. And I'm like, Connor and Dustin, they're arguing. All right, so they're just trying to build it up. That's what I'm thinking, right? I'm in the car seeing, all right, they're just trying to build things up. And then I'm like, all right, whatever, July 10th. And I'm looking at that card. I'm like, that card is kind of sad. That card as of right now pretty good. You have Gilbert Burns versus Wonder Boy. You have Greg Hardy versus Tai Tuivasa. I believe, what is it, Jessica Eyes on that card, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, but like the card is nowhere near complete, right? We still got months to go for July. This morning, I see that they're arguing, right? Because of a donation, right? Connor made a tweet saying something about like how he predicts the fight's gonna happen. With I think it was like a high leg kick, a head kick. I forgot what round, maybe like second round or something of that nature. And Dustin replies, says like, yeah, I also predict this, but you never followed through with your donation. Because Conor McGregor verbally, publicly has said that he is going to donate to Dustin Poirier's, foundation, the Good Fight Foundation, right? I believe it was about like $500,000. So it was something along the lines where, Dustin's charity, was trying to reach out to Connor. Connor's team, was answering. They try to set something up, Connor's team, where they can meet in Utah, where the UFC can donate more money into Dustin's charity, which I don't know how that makes any sense. On like, why you bringing the UFC into this type of stuff? Dustin asked you if he could donate and stuff like that. You agreed. You verbally agreed. I think you should follow through with it. But then it ended up imposing about Connor getting defensive. He's like, didn't like how Dustin ended up putting this out all on Front Street for everybody to see on Twitter. All his public stuff is out in the open. And Connor got upset, and he was like, what's it called? Like, it's not a debt that he owes. It's a donation. And called him an inbred hillbilly, whatever. I was like, inbred hillbilly? Why? Because he's from Louisiana, So yeah, I mean, it started off with that type of trash talk. Connor says, the fight is off. I'll fight somebody else on July 10th. Then it goes to Dustin saying okay, as it shows that Dustin is knocking out Connor at UFC 257, and then Connor responds back to how Dustin ended up, how his reaction was after he had lost versus Connor the first time around. So a lot of back and forth stuff. The question is the fight officially off? I mean, there's a lot of things to really talk about, because due to the fact that the UFC never really officially had announced this fight. I know from other media platforms, other sources, other websites, it has showed that Dustin has even said it himself that he signed the contract waiting for Connor. Connor says he's fully in. So we just all imagine this fight's gonna go through, but let's see what happens. Michael Chandler did tweet out saying that, once he beats Charles Oliveira, he does not mind, making a huge swing around and fighting Connor. I would like to see that matchup. On the low, I am rooting for Michael Chandler just because I think he is good for business. So, we want a brash talking champion, somebody that seems active. I think for Charles Oliveira, he has struggled in the past to make, to have a huge weight cut. This guy has failed to make weight at 145, moves up to 155. Is not as active as we want him to be. His last fight was in December. He's going to be fighting in May. So you see like a 6-month gap. Michael Chandler, If he wins, next month's card at UFC 262, is he a possible opponent for Conor McGregor? All right, so what's gonna happen with Dustin Poirier? All right, if the fight's officially off, what happens? I mean, does the UFC lean on to trying having Dustin versus Justin Gaethje Part 2? As for Conor, do they lean in to see if Michael Chandler is able to beat Charles Oliveira? Or what if that doesn't happen? What if the UFC says, all right, Nate Diaz, you beat Leon Edwards, you're fighting Conor McGregor for the trilogy, which could be one of the biggest, best trilogies that they could ever offer. All right, no offense to Stipe and DC, but yeah, guys, I mean, there is so much more, at stake with this. It just looks bad because if the fight is canceled, it really just seems like, hey, Dustin Poirier, you gave up a title shot to fight Conor for the bag, and no one's discrediting you for whatsoever. But the fact that the fight might possibly be off, it might be a bad Monday for Mr. Dustin Poirier, because all he wanted to be a champion, wants to have great financial security for him and his family. What does he choose? The great financial security for his family. So, because Conor is going to give you the biggest payday that, you can ever receive. Plus, you're most likely going to get pay-per-view points. So, that might add on more incentives as for why you want to take that fight over the title shot. Man, what is going to happen on July 10th? Are we going to get this Are we going to get this fight or not? All right? Because if we don't get this fight, does the UFC take Conor off the card? Do they leave him on the card? Obviously, in past pay-per-views that Conor has been fighting, there is no other champion on the card because of the fact that the UFC does not want to pay off, too many of these fighters, high lucrative, deals, right? And if they're champions, they're gonna have to, they're gonna absorb pay-per-view points, which means more money that the UFC has to, dish out. So, me personally, I do think that this fight's gonna happen. There's no way that this fight doesn't happen. I just think that this is just adding on, gas onto the fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of smoke in this situation. I certainly do feel like, maybe there's a little bit of jeopardy in this fight not happening, but I can't imagine the UFC and Dana White trying to cut this fight off. This fight is here to stay, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. Dustin, try not to poke the bear too much just because of the fact that, you want this big payday. Don't want to piss off Conor. Conor's going to be able to give you the biggest payday possible. As for Conor McGregor, if you did say that you were going to donate to the charity, please, follow through with your word, all right? It looks really bad as a man that, you give them your word. You're going to say you're going to follow through, donate this type of money. I know it's not a debt, but, you're as only good as your word, all right? So that's all I got to say. This is massive. This is massive, in my opinion, but we got a lot of good fights coming in, from now to July. So let's see what happens, guys. So then, guys, I'm your host, Lava Mariana. Thank you for tuning in for my reaction, my opinion, my analysis as for the feud between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. So then, guys, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys.